Let's start off with a developing story, and I know you have come across it, is that the Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga has been summoned to appear before the National Cohesion and Integration Commission over his remarks allegedly mocking the death of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And earlier in the day yesterday, the remarks have attracted a lot of numerous condemnations from nationwide leaders, that is, as well as members of the public. And also yesterday, Kahiga was ousted as vice chair of the Council of Governors just hours after he resigned from the very same position. So in as far as developing stories is concerned, we're keeping tabs to find out when he's going to be appearing before the National Cohesion and Integration Commission and what is the way forward in regard to that matter. Now, talking about social media use, is that the High Court has stopped the enforcement, implementation and operation of some sections of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Amendment Act of 2024 signed into law by President William Ruto on Wednesday, October 15, 2025. Justice Lawrence Mugambi, sitting in the Constitutional Division of the High Court, urged parties to serve their responses within the fortnight, with a hearing set for Wednesday, November 5th this year. In the case, the petitioners state that the laws violate fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution, claiming it could suppress freedom of expression and privacy for its citizens.
Exactly a week after President William Ruto enacted the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Amendment Act 2024, the law is being challenged in court. Two petitions have been filed on the premise the law is vague, goes overboard, and has weakened Kenya's Data Protection Act of 2019. All filed under certificate of urgency. The petitioners, former presidential aspirant Reuben Kigame and Kenya Human Rights Commission and activist Francis Owino, want implementation of the contested provisions in the law grant law enforcement agencies, if left unchecked, powers that could be used to silence journalists and critics of government policies leading to arrest and prosecution.
We're going to use all the conventional and constitutional means possible to make sure that we fight for the justice and to make sure that the rights of Kenyans will not be sabotaged by individuals in power.
They further argue that Section 27 of the amended law gravely violates the Constitution by criminalizing online speech and granting the National Computer and Cybercrime Coordination Committee powers to block websites and social media platforms without judicial oversight.
Tukasema badala ya twende kwa barabara, acha kwanza tutumie diplomacy ndio aone sisi kama vijana tunamheshimu. Tumeamua tutumie diplomacy. Tukuje kotini na tukafile petition.
They further argue that Section 27 of the amended law gravely violates the Constitution by criminalizing online speech and granting the National Computer and Cybercrimes Coordination Committee powers to block websites and social media platforms without judicial oversight. The petitioners seek multiple declarations that the new law is unconstitutional, null and void, arguing that it infringes on the rights to privacy, freedom of expression, access to information, and fair administrative action. And in a swift move, Justice Lawrence Mugambi has suspended the implementation of some sections of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Amendment Act 2024 that were signed into law. The judge has directed parties to file their responses and rejoined us within 13 days, with further direction set for early next month.
In regard to that particular law, I'd want to highlight perhaps the most consequential addition to the new act is Section 46A, which empowers the courts to order the removal of illegal online content or even deactivate websites, systems, or devices used to promote terrorism, child exploitation, or extremist propaganda. Now, this particular section allows investigators to apply for such orders, ex parte orders that is, before conviction, if there is reasonable belief that a digital platform is being misused. This and so much more. Remember, this is already in the public domain. You can get familiar with the act and what it means, especially now that we are in the digital space. We'll continue keeping tabs on that. Remember, the hearing is set for November the 5th. That is exactly after a fortnight. Now to matters health. The Social Health Authority is on the spot over the loss of public funds after it recorded a revenue shortfall of 9.2 billion shillings during the financial year 2021-2022 under the defunct National Hospital Insurance Fund. Appearing before the National Assembly Public Investment Committee, the Chief Executive Officer of SHA, that is Dr. Mercy Mwangangi, attributed the shortfall to the disruptions caused by COVID-19 pandemic. The CEO was also hard-pressed to explain an illegal overpayment of 77 million shillings on legal fees.
The loss of public resources in the 10th National Hospital Insurance Fund came to haunt its successor, the Social Health Insurance Authority. SHA Chief Executive Officer Dr. Mercy Mwangangi was at pains to explain to the National Assembly's Public Investment Committee a 9.2 billion shillings revenue shortfall in the 2021-2022 financial year.
How can you convince Kenyans that 9.2 billion revenue shortfall is attributable to COVID? This new ERPP, what is the cost? Very simple. From where you sit, you cannot say we do not know. Then why are you sitting in there in share?
During this time, the anticipated informal sector collections dropped with a retention of 14%. What we'll provide to the committee is a schedule showing what the informal sector collections look like.
Mwangangi was further tasked to explain why the fund spent over 91 million shillings to pay advocates to collect 13 million shillings, leading to an illegal overpayment of 77 million shillings.
You are paying 77 million to collect 13 million. Make a comment on that.
The information I have at the time is that this was not the case. They would contract this service out at that time.
You look at the management response and what the finance director is saying. They are contradicting themselves.
The committee also faulted the unaudited payments for surgical packages and surgeries amounting to over 27 million shillings.
A number of procedures were listed and they would fall under a group name or commonly used nomenclature.
Other issues raised by the Auditor General include payments for Linda Mama services to hospitals without contract and irregular contract awards.
The British government has expressed deep regrets over issues and challenges that have arisen, in relation to the British Army Training Unit Batuk presence in Kenya, both in the past and more recently. In a statement responding to an inquiry into Batuk made by the Kenyan Parliament, the British government committed to continue taking action to address them. This comes as a High Court on Tuesday directed that the extradition of a British soldier accused of murdering Agnes Wanjiru in 2012 be fast-tracked.
The family of the late Agnes Wanjiru anxiously awaits for the extradition of a British soldier accused of killing Agnes Wanjiru in 2012 to face trial and for the family to eventually get justice. The soldier is expected to face trial in Kenya as the incident is alleged to have been committed while not in the course of official duties as stipulated in a Defence Cooperation Agreement, a 2015 legally binding agreement under the UK-Kenya Defence Relations.
This is the short ruling.
On Tuesday, Justice Alexander Muteti ordered the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to work closely with the United Kingdom government to ensure the suspect is extradited.
This case cannot wait until January 2026. It has been over 10 years since the incident occurred on 31st of March 2012. The victims are still anxiously waiting for justice to be done to their kin. Thus, all the state actors in Kenya, including the court, must dedicate efforts towards the expeditious disposal of this matter. It would be important, therefore, for the ODPP to to update this court regularly of the steps being taken in order to obviate delay. Accordingly, this court directs that this case shall be mentioned at least once every month to monitor progress.
In a statement responding to an inquiry into Batuk made by the Kenyan Parliament, the British government says it will continue to put in place considerable measures to prevent unacceptable behavior among its soldiers in Kenya. UK Ministry of Defence says it has adopted recommendations to implement further standalone training across the British Army, an assumption of the harshest penalties for offenders, mirror defence sexual exploitation and abuse policy in Army policy, and formalising the practice of appointing a nominated responsible individual during social events to monitor their colleagues. The body of Agnes Wanjiru was discovered in a septic tank near a hotel in Nanyuki, Laikipia County, 2 months after she went missing. The case has drawn widespread public attention and renewed calls for justice more than a decade after Wanjiru's death. The judge further cautioned all parties against discussing the matter in the media and ordered that materials shared with the victims remain confidential.
That particular case of Wanjiru there with, involving the British officer, the British Army officer, has taken a cool 13 years. And even after 13 years, the said man is yet to be extradited. All right. Now, the Communication Workers Union, KOWU, has declared a nationwide strike by Postal Corporation of Kenya employees next week, citing months of unpaid salaries. According to the union, the employees will down their tools commencing Monday, the 27th of October, 2025, after going 7 months without pay.
According to the Communication Workers Union Secretary General Benson Okwaro, the last salary paid to Postal Corporation of Kenya employees was in March this year. This despite them continuing to offer essential postal and government services.
We are doing this because we are not even demanding money from the government to give us money. The position is that Postal have done services to the Kenya government, including Huduma Center, including IEBC. Postal has been going out there to take election materials to all places despite the problem that they have. Yet they are owed money which cannot be paid.
The union accuses the corporation of withholding more than 1.5 billion shillings in unremitted statutory deductions, including pension and loan repayments.
We want that money clearly stated, and they must own and tell us how soon they are going to pay that money that belongs to members. When members retire, they are able to get their money. When members want to go to SACCOs to get their loans, they are able to get loans because they have remitted, they have paid, the money has been recovered for them, and they have not been remitted to the institution that they should go to.
The Communication Workers Union says a 30-day strike notice issued to the Ministry of Labour has expired and no concrete action has been taken to resolve the crisis. The union insists that operations will remain paralysed until all pending salaries are paid and a clear plan presented for future payments.
If that money is not paid, the strike will be on from Monday until the money is paid. I know it may take long, but we have talked to our members, and from where we are, these board members are retreating to the branches they belong.
The Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy and the National Treasury are yet to issue an official response. For Prime Edition, I'm Alvin Counder.
Solidarity forever. 7 months without pay. Can you imagine that? Would you survive 7 months without your current, income? Especially those who are already in formal employment. Get on X at KBC Channel 1. What do you think about that? Now, to matters agriculture, the private sector is asking the government to extend incentives to local investors willing to invest in public land leasing programs. Agriculture Sector Network Chair Bimal Kantaria says tax breaks will ensure local agriculture investors access adequate working capital to invest in commercialized government land and lower costs of production. Here's Benson Rioba with the details.
According to the government, a large chunk of the 1.2 million acres of state-owned land earmarked for agricultural development is said to be taken up by investors. Private players in the agriculture sector now say the low investment is due to high production cost urging the government to introduce tax breaks to willing local investors to make the commercial land more attractive.
The real investors in this country are Kenyan-born investors. They are the ones who want to come and do the farming. There's no point giving incentives to foreigners when our own people are here wanting to do the business.
Agriculture Sector Network Chair Bimal Kantaria says the high cost of production has limited access to government land to mainly foreign investors.
Private sector is very keen to participate in that initiative. We've got several large growers in Kenya who are Kenyan citizens who want to invest in that project.
The government says it is planning for more public-private partnership reforms in the agriculture sector to increase liquidity in agriculture.
If you look at, for example, just the ADC runs, and you look at the prisons lands, even without going any further than that, the amount of land available is immense. County governments have also got huge tracts of land. I give an example of Homa Bay and Migori, who are looking for investors to grow palm oil.
The reforms are expected to increase production of key staple foods in a bid to lower Kenya's food import bill, which currently stands at 500 billion shillings annually.
Was in increasing trade within the COMESA region. And for us to be able to take our products there, then we needed to become as competitive as possible. And the only way to do that is to bring down the cost of products.
This is where we check to ensure that we don't have cartels in the sector, we don't have unfair practices, we don't have barriers to access to markets in the agricultural sector.
Now we head to sports just to give you a quick summary of the UEFA Championship League matches that were played yesterday. The day before yesterday, we had Arsenal there take on Atletico Madrid, scoring 4 goals against none for Atletico Madrid. But now yesterday, we had Galatasaray taking on Glimt, scoring 3 against Glimt's solitary goal there. And we had Chelsea score 5 goals against Ajax, single goal. Real Madrid was squaring it out with Juventus, where Real Madrid scored 1 goal and Juventus none. Marseille scored 1 goal against Sporting, that scored 2 goals there. Monaco versus Tottenham ended in a barren draw, while Atlanta and Slavia Prague also ended their game on a 0-0 draw. Liverpool, that was taking on Eintracht Frankfurt, scored 5 goals against Eintracht Frankfurt, 1 or rather single goal there. We'll continue keeping tabs on what is happening across the sporting arena, and not also to forget that Bayern scored 4 goals against Club Brugge. We'll keep tabs on local as well as international sporting matters, and as well as matters business going forward. Now we have a full in-train as far as what you'd expect on our diary, one of them being that we are expecting an update in regard to the appearance of Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga before the National Cohesion Commission there. We are yet to get when and what time, but we'll keep tabs on that. In as far as developing stories, that's the area that we are looking at. There are those who are still saying, or rather marking, that today is the 7th day of mourning as announced by President William Ruto following the demise of Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. So this is the 7th day of mourning, and I'd want to bring this to a close and quote Mama Ida Odinga during that particular burial on Sunday said a profound statement, and I've just been reminded by my producer, and this is what it said. I'm trying to paraphrase it, is that in politics or even in life, that you take up the friends, however, let the individuals deal with their enemies, right? By association, you take up the friends, but you let the individual in question deal with their enemies. It's a wrap. I'm Regina Manyara. I hand you over to Mike.